Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to the Accursed. You know, we're coming close to the end of our family journey and our guide to Curseborne. However, that doesn't mean we are done with Curseborne videos. Far from it. Not that long ago, I released a video asking people for what they wanted to see regarding Curseborne, and the response was magnificent. You will have seen over the past couple of weeks character creation video, deep dive into the Hungry Damnation. We will see other character creation videos, other deep dives, and more. Examinations of Curseborne society, examination of liminalities, a lot more to come. But for the time being, let's spend some time with the Furies. Well, you'd be surprised at how many people depart this mortal coil with anger on their minds, in their hearts, or on their lips. So many detest the injustice of it all. So many have regrets, not surrounding lovers left unkissed, or jobs left incomplete, or Grand Canyons left unvisited, and games left uncompleted. No. They regret the punch not thrown. They regret not telling Dad what they really thought of him before the end. They regret not fighting harder against the gang that just murdered them, left them lying in a pool of their slowly spreading blood. They regret their demise. And it fills them with such anger, such fury, such rage, that they are made to cling on. They are given the power, the damnation, to come back and fight with that rage which amplifies in everyone around them. Do not forget, the dead do not feed off of emotion. They amplify it. They supercharge it. And so this is why you so often find black hearts, the hungry that feed off emotions, following along in the wake of the dead. The dead rile emotion, the black hearts feed off of it, though doing so when the dead is a fury is most certainly a dangerous proposition, because with the fury amplifying anger, hunger for vengeance, rage, wherever they go, it can make life awkward for the Blackheart, who has to pick up the pieces and try sucking them dry. The Furies are, in many respects, I would suggest, the most natural of all of the dead families. After all, these accursed die with vengeance in mind and return prepared to enact it. They are the Crow, the Spectre, the Ghost Rider. You've all heard of them. The spirit of justice. They want to make their enemies, and sometimes the world, pay for what was done to them. The Furies' origin is pointedly distinct from that of the other dead families. You've all heard the tale by now of the Oracle, who the various family heads slew. They were trying to extract the secrets of immortality from her. She eventually cursed them with said immortality, and, well, this is how you were achieved various progenitors of dead families. Well, the Furies claim they were not one of the Oracle's tormentors. They claim that they were not trying to extract immortality. That was never their agenda. They claim that their progenitor was the Oracle. They claim that the reason they feel nothing but injustice is because their family head was slain by all of the other family heads. And therefore, justifiably, they are fueled by rage, by anger, by injustice, because it was visited upon there first. Now, do we believe this? It elevates a family somewhat, doesn't it? While the story is no doubt apocryphal, and other dead claim that the Furies were as culpable in the actions that led to the dead's lineage existing, the Furies, the ancient Furies, claim no. They were the initial victims of injustice, and it is their right to exact payment for historic wrongs. They wouldn't exist, they say. Their damnation would not be, if not for all the other damned dead. This leads to an interesting relationship between families. You see, while newly dead care little for origin stories and the politics of thousands of years past, as the Furies age and grow, they find themselves drifting from other dead and closer to other accursed. They often find their fellow dead's interests and emotions trivial. The idea of propagating sorrow, guilt, safety, joy all seems utterly immaterial compared to the righteous fury that they own. You see, rage is everything to the Furies. They have far greater affinity for the battleground angels, family of outcasts, and indeed some aspects of the Black Hearts of the Hungry than they do the Zeds or the Shades, despite their claims of brotherhood and affinity. For all their posturing, Furies rarely take command positions in cities. When it comes to seizing, sealing, or exploiting liminalities, the Furies would rather play the role of saboteur or just destroyer than guardian or explorer. And when it comes to heirlooms, those magical artifacts that are often extracted from liminalities, the Furies would rather identify their uses, use them, and then discard of them. As for relationships with outsiders and other beings, this is one of those areas where the Furies are perhaps the most intriguing, because you might typify this family as single-mindedly focused on destruction. That isn't the case. You see, the Furies have a strange relationship with outsiders. Unless they have been personally affected by something from the outside, and there are plenty of Furies that come about based on the actions of some monster, some alien, some eldritch horror, but many more have not. They view these creatures with a mix of pity and curiosity. They look at the Battleforged, the Peaborgs, and even Barkhests, and when they observe these creatures' relentless actions, unstoppable destruction, and lack of humanity, they identify something of themselves in these adversaries. I've known more than a handful of Furies who they maintain relationships with outside entities. Don't tell the Battleground Angels or the other outcasts about this. This is a rarity for the dead. It's a rarity for the accursed in general. All of this makes the Furies maybe seem frightfully out of kilter, or off kilter, with the rest of accursed society, I fear. But ghosts formed by anger and vengeance, driven to do nothing but mete out punishment and amplify rage, may sound utterly one-dimensional, and the Furies are not that. That would be an unfair categorization. So allow me to expand. There's a Fury I know, for example, who runs the modern version of Murder Inc., the old gangland racket, except he calls it Revenge Unlimited. He does this via various websites that you can access if you know the codes. And on the surface, it is a place you go to arrange assassinations, book a hit. Deeper down, however, the Furies who use it take on contracts because they know it is a means of identifying the kinds of people who may be deserving of vengeance, or who deserve to have vengeance carried out on their behalf because they cannot do it themselves. But plus, there have been several occasions where a Fury visits a target selected on the site to teach them a lesson that doesn't necessarily result in death. Something brutal, something terrifying the poltergeists would approve, but not necessarily murder outright. That's the province of the Zeds. Then the Furies turn on the mark maker, the person who commissioned the hit in the first place, and punish them in turn. Sometimes it's even harsher, because the Furies like to have an objective. The Furies succeed when they are given clear instructions what to do, and sometimes they have to find those clear instructions. Simply being told, kill this person, is not clear as far as a Fury is concerned. They want to know, why does this person deserve death? What have they done? And most importantly, the person who's commissioning this execution, what did they do? What other dirty deeds have they been responsible for? In some way, you can look at the Shades and the Furies as two parts of, I guess, what constitutes supernatural law enforcement. There's no law written in code, but they are trying to maintain a sense of justice within a cursed society from beyond the veil. It's an interesting relationship that the two families have. They don't always get on. Sometimes the Furies consider the Shades a little too soft or poetic, and the Shades consider the Furies the loose cannons, the mavericks, the the Clint Eastwoods with the big revolvers. But ultimately, they get results, and so the Union functions. And both of them use this Revenge Unlimited site very effectively. You might consider it strange, but in a fashion, the Furies are the dead family most concerned with their own mortality. Anger is often born from loss, and Furies are as likely to emerge from their own tragic deaths as they are following the unjust deaths of their loved ones, their whole family, or even let's say they live in a block of flats that succumbs to a fire that starts at the ground and starts working their way up. And wouldn't you know, all of the fire escapes aren't up to code and they've been rusted shut, and so everyone is trapped within this building. Everyone dies. Well, when that fury comes back, they are going to be justifiably furious. And so they regularly visit the mortals who survived them, and they still care for them. Yes, they are there to level some punishment on the deserving, but anger is not always an emotion born from solitude. When you die with others, you are trying not just to avenge yourself, but others with you. And when there are survivors, it becomes your duty to care for them, especially if they cannot care for themselves. You might say that's more the province of the Wardens, but the Furies take this kind of thing very seriously, often through violent means. But that focus on mortality is, in a way, what maintains their humanity and stops them from just becoming unstoppable, unthinking killing machines. And then there are the Furies you really don't want to meet. Have you ever heard of the Latondress brood? A brood is a sub-faction of a family, if you need such a thing specified. Everyone has heard of the dead Victor Latondress. I'm sure you have as well. Or Victor L, he is sometimes known. And his campaign of hate against the women who spurned him. At least that's how it works within his psyche. But there's an entire brood of Latondresses, all descended from the same rotten matriarch. And every one of them twists the Fury damnation to justify their campaigns of hatred against their specified victims, who tend to be utterly innocent, only going through their deaths and their punishments to fuel more rage at injustice and thereby create more Furies. As an example, a Latondress targets a child, destroys that child's life. The child probably isn't going to return as a Fury, but everyone in that child's family, everyone in that child's neighborhood, even the cops that investigate that child's death, they cannot find the perpetrator. Everyone is paranoid now. Everyone is angry at the injustice of it all. All of a sudden, you have a seething bed of potential Furies. I'm not suggesting the Latondress are doing this for the benefit of their accursed family, but it's an interesting synthesis. The Latondresses are unwholesome. Every family has its black sheep. Every accursed family has its black sheep. Trust me on that. But as far as sheep go, these ones, this brood, are the darkest of them all. Now let me end with a proposition for you. And a piece of advice. Say I'm about to send you into a liminality. I've told you about some wonderful heirlooms, or indeed some loved ones who have been taken captive and they're trapped in this place. Let's go for that. Let's go for the stick rather than the carrot. These people will be tortured, killed, driven mad, call it what you like, if they maintain their position there, if they are held there. You need to get in, you need to rescue them. So I give you some help to enter this battleground. I send you in with the unholy trinity. A Fury, a Lycan, and a battleground angel. That is the unholy trinity of mayhem. Would you feel a lot safer? I dare say you would, at first. Because there are no better combatants in this field of curses than those three. And they do work well together, in some respects. But if you ever do end up in that position, where you're fighting alongside such a cursed, as I did, once upon a time, be sure to get the hell out of the way before the fighting starts. When hell breaks loose, the Furies and their friends are likely to swipe your arm off to use as a bludgeon against their enemy, and they won't even notice they've taken it until you're lying there in a pool of your rapidly spreading blood. Maybe a few minutes later they might stumble over and murmur a hesitant apology before just kind of giving you your arm back and staggering off, the high of emotion dying down. You can't hold it against them. It's in their nature, but you can stand back when chaos reigns.